Welcome, everyone, to Podcast Demastered, episode 89. I had to look at the notes because I forgot if it was like 88 or 89.
It was 89.
It is 89. I know, because of the notes. The notes that I made.
Actually, I added a lot to those notes. I added like 2 news stories.
I added nothing.
I know, because you never add anything.
Except for what I've been playing.
You're welcome.
Anyways, as always, I am joined by Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
Good. And Charlie.
3 strokes of a cat's tail and you'll get a rotten tomato sandwich.
See, that's why
sure.
Tom has to go last because...
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
No,
I felt really dirty.
You didn't have to be the weird person.
Yeah, but he went first and you caught him. He obviously wasn't ready.
Yeah, no. It didn't throw him off.
Did it ever occur to you that maybe I just don't have anything to say this week?
Well, I did.
Maybe I didn't have anything planned?
Damn, if I had known that, I wouldn't have done this.
God. Well, I'm glad we get to start the show off,
You can't milk that cat for free.
No. Okay. Well, that wasn't too bad. That was just a saying, I think.
Yeah, you can't milk that cat.
I got nipples. Can you milk me?
Oh my God, why?
It's a meet the parents joke. Remember he's talking about milking the cat on the farm? And Robert De Niro just goes like, I've got nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? Because he's like lied about his whole past and everything.
Meet the Parents is a great movie.
It's been a while since
Meet the Fockers is okay. Meet the Kids, not good.
Never
Stay
saw
away
Meet the
from
Kids.
Stay away from it.
I remember enjoying Meet the Fockers, but Meet the Parents was definitely the superior of the Meet the
great movie
franchise movies.
Great movie.
Yeah.
This isn't, surprisingly though, this isn't a Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, Meet the Kids podcast. This is our weekly video game podcast. Talk about games we played, game news.
Fuck the meters.
What?
Fuck the meters.
Oh my God. We can never get anywhere with this podcast. Anyways, the three of us.
No.
That's not our thing.
We agreed that we're 3 people who can stand each other on a 1 to 2 time basis per week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. And I'm cool with that. I just hope that you guys will open your hearts to allow maybe 2 to 3 times.
No. Maybe
every day.
I don't know about that.
That sounds like too much commitment.
I think
I don't know if I'm ready,
well
I don't know if I'm ready for
point.
that kind of commitment.
I am ready. Will you join me, Charlie?
No.
Sorry.
I'm not ready to say that word right now.
Let's start with what we've been playing. And I have been playing something.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
What is it?
The little game. Not,
How long did it take to make this game?
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A small indie studio?
Small indie studio. Called Team Ico originally. Now they're named Team, like, still just part of Studio
something?
Japan. Yeah. This is a little game called The Last Gurdian.
I thought Studio Japan was working on NAC.
Too.
Studio Japan works on many things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so The Last Gurdian finally came out. Weird. Within 1 week, we got 2 myths of the video game world coming out. Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Gurdian.
Interesting says I had a fever dream last night that Half-Life 3 got announced.
No, it's never going to happen.
Like a legit fever dream.
Yeah, no.
But that game's like not in development.
Yeah, no, it's true. But back onto the item at hand. The bird dog at hand.
Funny you say bird dog. He acts more as of a cat.
Oh, okay.
And I was going back and there's this really long form on NeoGAF about like the history of this. Because obviously, joke, not a year and a half. Basically a decade of development.
2009.
It was announced in 2009. It was actually talked about in 2007 as Project Trico.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That's the first time they officially talked about it. They said they'd been working on it for about 6 months at that point. And it was called Project Trico. So yeah, it's close to 10 years now since they officially started talking about this game. And they even call him more of like a bird cat, not a bird dog. And even though he looks more doggish in look, he
has more cattish in feel.
Yeah, in feel, yeah. And it's really weird.
Cat feel.
I'm not very far into the game. I got stuck on a puzzle and I looked up what to do, like what I was doing wrong. And it seemed like there was like 9 chapters, and I'm on like chapter 4-ish. Obviously, the game doesn't come up and tell you what chapter you're on. It's just kind of what the guide broke it down into. I'm really enjoying it.
I hear very good things about it.
Like, it has its problems, and that comes down to the weird camera sometimes. The controls feel really odd, like triangles jump.
Kind of an odd question. Does it feel like a PS2 game?
No, I think that's going like one level too harsh on it. Like,
yeah.
It definitely.
I don't mean in like a bad way. I just mean like in terms of game design and also control.
It definitely feels like a game that was started when like early PS3 generation, before controls and like the way cameras work and everything was kind of like figured out in third person games. Because even like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus had these weird cameras and movement stuff, and it feels like a continuation of that, but a continuation that should have happened in 2010, not in 2016. Yeah, so it has its problems, but like I'm definitely right now able to see through the problems. Probably like
That's good.
The coolest like thing is one, I love Trico, who is the bird dog, cat dog thing.
Cat dog.
Right away, like you kind of feel like, because the story so far is apparently the story gets really cool. For people that like the story, it hasn't gone really deep for me yet. But like, I just like the connection I feel like I have with Trico, and I'm also one of the people that's gotten pretty lucky where I haven't had Trico just flat out ignore me more than once or twice.
Yeah, I heard that was like a big problem.
But that's like a gameplay mechanic, right? That
he
like
won't respond at points.
Yeah, I've seen videos of people playing and
you have to like earn his love or something.
I mean, I don't know. I still think I'm early on to feel like I pet him all the time. Like whenever I'm on top of him, like you hold circle and you can pet him, and I try, and anytime I find a barrel,
twice a day for me.
I've heard many times that it's just, it appears as if this AI is being like disobedient, but it's actually like you're doing the right thing. Like a lot of people, they say the same thing, that they are at this puzzle and Trico's not doing anything, and so they spend like 10
stuck.
minutes doing something else. When really it just wasn't working.
Yeah, and like luckily I haven't had that problem. Usually, you get on Trico, and if you're on him, you can hold R1 and kind of point in the direction you want him to go to. And sure, he might not move immediately, but usually after like the second or third time, and when I say second or third time, it's literally within like a span of 10 seconds of pointing and he's not moving. All right, pointing, he's not moving. Pointing, okay, he's moving. So I haven't gotten to a point where he's just blatantly not jumping somewhere or moving into an area. So
have you had any updates for the game?
No, just the day one patch.
Okay.
So luckily I have him there. Like I said, I really enjoy him though. I like him when he's moving around the environment, and like when things catch his eye, like he starts barking like a puppy like would. And it's just a really cool game. I think it's...
Does it feel like an Ico Shadow of the Colossus? Those games I feel have a very similar feel and tone to them. Does it?
It feels more like a direct sequel to Ico.
Oh, okay.
Than to Shadow of the Colossus. Like obviously you have the climbing mechanics for, you get on Trico and whatnot, but it's definitely more of a Ico feel with the way you're guiding him around and getting into areas before he can get into areas to get him through, so then you can move on with the puzzle and whatnot. I finally started running into enemies. The enemies are like set Trico off into this rage of just swatting it. Like basically he takes care of the enemies and you don't really do anything except stay out of their way before they start dragging you. But after every encounter, like he's all wild up, you actually have to calm him down before you can move on to the puzzles.
Cool.
And I guess that's where they say you start forming the bond with him. But I know a lot of people have said they've had problems with Trico late game, and even people that were feeding and petting him all the time. So I don't know, maybe I'll hit a wall where I'm just unlucky with that point. And
he just eats barrels, right?
Yeah, weird barrels filled with like blue goo stuff.
I remember hearing that. It's funny. I remember hearing that about that mechanic from gameplay previews in like 2010.
Yeah, no, there's a lot in there. Like,
the
other big problem I think with it, and this goes a problem with across the PS4 and the Pro, is the frame rate is fucking atrocious when you get to the open areas, and there's not a lot of open areas. It's like you get into like it's kind of like supposed to be this like beautiful vista you're looking at before you go back inside again to whatever you're doing, and like constantly as soon as you step outside, the frame rate will just drop. Trico, and it's supposed to be this cool moment because usually when you step outside, Trico jumps from somewhere, and like there's one part in particular, like I got to this area, I got Trico in there, I called him up, he comes and he starts running around because it's like the first time he's in a huge open field. He's not caged in where he was when you first found him. And he's running around, jumping, like playing in like the trees and everything, and it's really cool. But the frame rate just kills the moment for you.
I've heard that runs better on Pro.
Well, so
depending on what mode you're on.
Yeah, this is the part that bothers me, and it's nothing like against the Pro. It's just standard PS4 has bad frame rate. Like no matter what, you're stuck with it. Like whatever you do. But on the PS4,
are you talking about the Pro now?
Pro, if you have it on the 1080 mode, it runs on a locked 30. But if you God forbid you have a 4K TV and want to use the 4K mode, the frame rate is just as bad as it is on the standard PS4. Like it's constantly dropping at that
likely
point.
a trade-off, though. We've been talking about the trade-off between resolution and frame rate for years now. So
yeah, but the compromise should be 60 and 30, not 30 and 15.
No, yeah,
I feel like that's yeah.
And at the same time, you are limited by what these consoles can do.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird, and it's just you're selling this console to people that want to get 4K TVs, and then you're giving them the best option should still be the best option. Like, and it's just weird that it's not. It's the middle ground is the best option. So yeah, I found that weird, but yeah, no, it's a really fun game. It's also a game I find hard to recommend.
Yeah,
like I was talking to Stu on Twitter about it, and like he was asking me like what I thought about it, and I'm like, it has a ton of problems, but like I'm really attached to Trico. Like that's the real reason I keep coming back. And I think like I always find the worlds that these people that Team Ico creates. I know they're not Team Ico anymore, but the worlds that these create. I read the Ico book. Like,
yeah, I remember.
That's how much I liked
that.
Ico. Like I played Ico, loved the story, read the book, thought the book added like really cool like world building to it, and I love the connection Shadow of the Colossus, like that fan theories like to Ico. And like that's what I want to find in this game, and just gameplay wise, it feels like Ico. So I'm hoping there's something story related.
Are there any version of those games running on PS4?
No,
just PS3.
Just the PS3 HD collection. I mean, you say that now, like you're talking about the other works, but it's a shame now that Ueda's gone and kind of Team Ico's dispersed into other teams. I feel we're probably not going to get another game set in this universe to continue this cool thing that we're doing, which is a shame because ideally they would have had. Maybe if they were able to get Last Gurdian out in a timely manner, one on PS3, then one on PS4, and
isn't this new team run by the same producer?
Well, he
opened up a new studio, but he's gonna make games for everything.
They originally announced a release date, and like I said, I found this on the NeoGAF. The NeoGAF thread was really informative. They announced a 2011 release date. After that, it got delayed indefinitely. He left the studio.
Okay.
And then he was kind of brought back on as a consultant, to kind of just get this game fucking done. But he did start a new studio, so he is working on something else. The Team Ico people split up, and now it's a Sony Japan. Rumor going back like 2 years ago is that that Sony San Diego had it, that Naughty Dog was taking a look at it because they were trying to figure out what the fuck was happening, that they weren't able to run it. Like on the PS3 and even early PS4. And that was the rumor going around, is that they were passing it between studios to see like what they could try to figure out. That's why I'm like really interested to watch the credits to this game. Because I want to see who they officially...
you're probably going to see every studio on there.
Yeah. And like
it's a shock this game also wasn't a product of a Kickstarter.
Yeah,
like that's the last thing it needed to be like, a fully fucked thing.
I mean, like at a point, like Tommy, you said, like it is a shame that we won't see another like game like this in this like in the Icoverse. But also,
maybe it's time to move on.
Also, I don't think they've deserved the right to continue this, because 10 years of development for this product, and as much as I really like it, it's not 10 years of development. And if I was Sony, I wouldn't be moving forward with a Team Ico game after this.
I think the problem they ran into was a very similar, Final Fantasy 15 problem, where what they were trying to develop on wasn't up to snuff for what they wanted to do, and they couldn't really scale it back in a way that wouldn't interfere with their vision.
I wonder what is so resource heavy about that game.
I would imagine it's like Trico himself.
I think it's the majority of it's Trico.
Yeah,
like his AI, or like his
AI, his feather shading, all that shit.
Yeah, I think it's everything about him specifically, because the way he moves and interacts with the world, like I never see him. Like he doesn't stumble. He doesn't he walks around, like when he's walking around like an actual animal would. And like when he has his attention, like he I think the reason I'm so connected to him, or I feel this connection to him, is because of the way he acts around in the world. And also like when he gets spears thrown into him, you actually start to see him bleed. And when you pull out the spears, like you'll actually those feathers will get like crusty. So when he shakes, like they kind of move in one formation.
So there's a lot of detail
all the other feathers
there.
are moving like natural feathers would.
Okay.
So I think I'm assuming that's what most of the problem would be. And also,
like there's just a lot of tech following that thing around.
Yeah. Also, there's like no load times. Like you load into the game and that's pretty much
So
it.
it does the Uncharted
good.
4 thing where there's one initial load and then just keeps you going from there.
Yeah, it just keeps on going. And even like Uncharted 4 had like scenes where it would cut and change. And so far I've only had one of those in about like 3 hours of playing. And so yeah, it's weird. It's a definitely weird game. I would love to. This is like one of those things. I'd love to see like what happened, like what went wrong, like why did they have problems in 2010, the delay out 2011, and why did it never get like properly finished? And there are reports like going back like 3 or 4 years ago that it was just outright canceled completely.
I remember IGN jumped the gun and published a story saying it was canceled.
Yeah, and then Shueisha
From
came
a
out.
source to
Yeah.
her, and then she was like, "No, it's not happening."
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's fun. Like I said, it's hard to recommend though because you gotta like the Team Ico games. I feel like,
Yeah.
and if you're not into them, this isn't the one that's going to change it for you because it definitely feels like a dated game.
Shadow
and,
was the one that got me into them. I actually never played Ico.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
I like Ico more than Shadow, which I know is a very, very unpopular opinion.
I played like maybe a couple hours of Shadow. I asked if they had it on PS4 because I
Shadow
would
the
like
Hedgehog.
to go. Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about
Sonic.
too.
Yeah, no. I was gonna. I went to my local Redbox because I checked on the website and it's finally they have like a premium thing where it's only online where they offer the game there first before they hit the actual physical boxes, and they were out. And I went to mine. They didn't have it. The next one was 20 minutes away. And so at that point, I had to am I going to do a 20-minute drive
to go,
to see if it might be there.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird game. I'm very interested to finish it though, and actually complete it. I didn't have nearly as much time as I wanted to between work and school this week. And this week's kind of the same thing. Like I'm going to be working a lot and then finishing up. But next week, hopefully I can finish it this week, like in the limited time I have. But hopefully get it all done. Other game I didn't talk about it. I kind of wanted to wait till I beat it. As I played Stick of Truth.
Okay.
The South Park game.
Oh yeah,
I finally beat that game, and you guys haven't played that, right?
No.
I never really got past the first couple of missions.
Okay, so I just over the past few months, I've gotten back into South Park again. Kind of fell off a few years ago. It was the cat pissing episode. I don't remember if you guys
the cheesing.
Yeah. I just thought that episode was so stupid and unnecessarily gross.
It had like the cartoon, right?
Yeah,
right, like when they were cheesing, they
it turned into the heavy metal.
Yeah. I thought that was
no.
awesome.
I think you talked about this where you were out of it and then you got really into it the past couple.
So
past
season
couple
19
months.
introduced PC Principle, and he was
you talked
hysterical.
about
This
this.
season was all about things from the member berries, and the main plot of it was that episode 7 wasn't as good as everyone says it is.
Yeah,
It was, that kind of stuff, and and anyway, so it made me want to play the game. Got it on the Steam sale a few weeks ago, and I've been playing through it. One of the funniest games I've probably ever played. Combat was all right. It wasn't too deep or anything, but a really well made game. Cannot wait to play the Fractured Butthole.
Yeah.
Which is just a great
love that
fucking
name.
name. And I was reading, they actually apparently there was 2 things they wanted them to change. They wanted to change the name because apparently it was named something else first.
Okay.
A little more head on. And then they also wanted to change Cartman's character because Cartman's character is the coon.
Yeah.
And so apparently Ubisoft was kind of all right, if you're not budgeting, we need to change one of them. So apparently that's why they went with the Fractured Butthole over whatever. I forget. I read the name and it was a little more you probably can't put that on store shelves with with people looking at it. But I cannot wait to play that game. Sad it was delayed. It would have been out. I probably would have picked up that over The Last Guardian, honestly, if it had come out on December 6th. But I just want to talk about it because it's absolutely
Did you get to that
hysterical.
scene I was talking about? The parents one.
Oh my god!
I'm shocked that made it past the ESRB.
Holy hell! There's a scene so I could describe it. It's a few years now. It's been spoilers for Charlie. So you get the underwear gnomes come and they start stealing your underwear. So they want to fight you. Obviously, you kick their ass because they're so small that they shrink you down.
Okay.
And obviously, so they run away. So you go through the walls chasing them. But as this is happening, your parents start to have sex.
Oh God.
So there's a battle on their dresser where you just see them in the background and they're give it to me harder, fuck me harder. What are you, a woman? And then she slaps them across the face. And then the final battle is on their bed
underneath them,
and you just see her boobs falling to the ground, and then you have to dodge your dad's ball sack.
and then one of the boobs crushes one of the gnomes.
Yes. It's insane. And then the next morning, you just go back, like it ends, and you just go back to sleep, and the parents are like acting all normal, and you're just like, what the fuck is this?
That sounds like South Park.
It is. It's 100%
I'm shocked
South
that made
Park.
that past the yours
Oh, me too. If you don't like South Park, obviously you really won't care for it. But if you do enjoy South Park, it's definitely something worth looking into. Especially now that it's older and you can get it on the cheap. That's all I played this week, though. What'd you play, Charlie?
I played a lot of No Man's Sky. I like that game.
Oh, Jesus.
And you two can go
Do you
fuck
like
yourself.
it now, or are you going to like it a month from now?
I don't know, but all I know is that I feel this sense of urgency where there was none. I am playing on survival mode. It was the first thing I did. I was not aware that survival mode was as hard as it is. I thought basically normal was just you were given everything, and that was that exactly. You already know where I fucked up. I thought normal was just like you can go and explore space. Survival was the regular game mode, and creative was just some sort of base building thing. But what it is normal is regular No Man's Sky. Survival is fuck you in the butt hard. Like, it's difficult. And creative is just creative. I hopped into creative mode really quick just to see what landing on a freighter was like and what seeing more than one alien in a room was like.
Yeah.
I streamed almost all of me playing on survival, and if you watch that, you see me just go through so many emotions at one time because you can
gain and lose will.
Yeah, like to live. So you spawn on one of two planets every time. I deleted my save like 5 times to see if I would load on a planet where I wasn't immediately dead out of the gate. And I ended up on this fucking ice planet, and it's just like you're beating you to death. It's pounding you. And I noticed that as soon as I had played that style for just a little bit, normal mode was fucking dumb. Like, it didn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. That version of No Man's Sky sucks. There is no sense of urgency, and there's nothing pushing you on. But as soon as you're faced with this challenge in what's like an insanely hostile environment, everything shrinks down, and you feel isolated in the way you should in No Man's Sky. Whereas before it was like, oh, there's a million planets, and I can go look at any one of them. Where it's like, I am stuck here, and I'm gonna die.
It actually makes you focus on something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that felt great, and it's so rewarding. It's like Bloodborne, Dark Souls level of rewarding. The difference is like you can perfect your skill in Dark Souls, but in No Man's Sky, you figure out what loopholes. Like, oh, there's a giant thing of iridium. I have no life support, and my shields are about to drain. And as soon as your shields drain, you crush to death. You're done. But what I figured out, I don't even know how I came to this conclusion, but basically, those giant like deposits of iridium, they're huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can basically carve a hole in one of them and survive right in there because your shields are constantly draining. There's not a second where you're not getting killed by the environment. And I had to do that. I had to wait. And I don't know, normal people wouldn't, like, especially what No Man's Sky has put us all through. I don't know why I'm even giving it this chance. But there's just something about that style of gameplay that I love. And I was willing to sit there while my shields recharged because your ship spawns 9 minutes away and you have to do that 10-minute walk, but you will die well before you're anywhere near that ship. This challenge that was brought to me was something I guess I was looking for because I couldn't put it down. I must have played it for like 4-hour stretches 2 or 3 times. It's just fun. The worst part is that zinc has become uncommon, and uncommon in this fucking mode is none. There's none. You can't get it. So you can get everything else you need, but it was like the most painful experience of my life. If you go back and watch the archive, you see me find the second zinc plant, and I'm like in shock. I'm in shock and awe. Like, I can leave. Like, there might have been that feeling when you play No Man's Sky for the first time. You're like, oh, I crafted all my stuff. That was cool. Now I can leave. But this time it's like, oh my God, I'm leaving.
So what happens when you land on the next planet? Are you stuck there again?
Oh yeah, you're stuck there. You're stuck there until everything's got to be at 100%. It's brutal. It's like playing your favorite game on its hardest difficulty. But I find that
So when
this is the best. That is the best way No Man's Sky
when
should
you
go.
die in creative mode, do you lose everything?
I don't know. You don't die in creative mode. You are given everything. You are given unlimited everything.
I'm sorry. I
In
meant to
normal?
say survival is what I meant to say.
Oh, so
Do you lose everything?
Everything on you. If you store stuff in your ship, that all stays.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So they changed a few things. I think the game looks done. Maybe not done, but it looks completed at least.
I'd say it looks better. Yeah,
It looks way better. Everything's kind of more rounded, and it all is uniform.
there's
Like,
less of that garish pop in.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, oh, that was terrible. They seem to have solved a lot of technical issues that, revolved around its procedural generation. I really think that they nailed some of the small things like selecting stuff, like you'd have to hold X and wait for the spinny wheel to load up. A lot of those things are
And
faster.
now it's just, if I remember correctly, hit down on the D-pad and you
Yeah,
get a
that was
radio
really
with all your
cool.
stuff.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But the base building stuff looks awesome. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it in survival mode. And the real problem is that if I go back on normal, there's no fun in that. And I want to build bases, so I'm like,
So just get good.
exactly. I mean, it's rough. This is how I'm going to decide if I want to continue to play this game. If I can get off the second planet and I land on the third planet and it's either a fucking heat storm or an ice planet, I'm done.
Yeah, you
I'm not
can't
gonna play
take
it
3
anymore. I
extreme
can't-
weather planets.
Well,
in a
that's
row.
why you can scan the planets beforehand, right, and kind of see what the deal is before you,
You can
land
scan
down.
smaller planets. I wasn't able to. Maybe it's an upgrade that I need to get,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
like everything is so. You get so much less, and there is so much less to get. So I mean, it's really like, it's like playing a fucking Resident Evil game. They're just you're being starved at every corner.
I think for people who are still salty about the E3 stuff and the stuff that was shown before this that isn't quite in the game, I think that stuff is never going to be in the game. I think that stuff was too ambitious for what they were trying to do.
Definitely.
But that being said, I think they've really made some substantial improvements to this game, and I really do think it's a quality game and impressive for the team that put it out.
Definitely.
And if you did enjoy your time with it at all, definitely check out the new updates.
yeah,
Definitely worth your time.
The foundation thing is it's really cool. And you know what? I think they could get there. I mean,
Yeah,
this
maybe.
was like a big
It'd be cool to see. Yeah,
This was a big thing, and they changed the game a lot. So I'm gonna, regardless of whether I continue to play this game or not, if they put out another big update, I will come back and I will see what's there.
yeah.
Because I really do like this game, and I think I even think it's a little special to me, and I don't know why.
Well, you've always been into that kind of crafting survival stuff.
I really like it. I get a good old kick out of it.
You guys just keep drinking that Kool-Aid.
It's an alright game.
Game was bad in August.
And it's pretty not terrible now. It's not terrible. It's
Glad we're on improvements.
fuck you, Jim. So I gave up on Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
I spent the night with it and I played it.
Those water picks look real legit though.
Oh my god. There were
Yeah, that water doesn't look great.
Water
Water looks fine rest of the game, but in Called Key it looks fucking terrible.
On Xbox One, it looks terrible. Like lighting is wrong in like points. Like when it's night out time and you're walking on wood, it does not match up with the lighting of the moon and everything else. Things kind of look out of place. I was kind of just exploring on my own. I wasn't kind of doing any one thing, and I ended up walking into like a goblin cave, and like
when
that
that
whole
happens.
thing looked wonky, and there was frame drops, and it was too.
Yep.
It was overall. It was like, whoa, I can't handle this. It's too much. I really wanted to like it, because I thought it was a cool game, and I think a lot of the things it does are really cool. Like the car thing is super cool. Like hopping in the car with your dudes. I'm curious to hear what you think. When,
not when you're 50 hours in, the car thing isn't cool.
I could. Can you manually drive ever, or is it only
can,
auto? Because it
but
wasn't giving me
it's-
the option.
So it's on a track basically, so you can
You just
go
kinda
into
hold
manual
right trigger.
and you hold right trigger and he'll just drive on the road, and you can turn and technically you can crash into things, but it really doesn't do anything. Like you're not going to be able to leave the road with your car.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go off-roading in the Regalia, which would be fucking dope.
So yeah, I mean, I went into this game knowing it's not going to be for me. But I also wanted to give it a chance because I think Final Fantasy is a cool thing, and I think their stories
It's a cool series.
Cool. Definitely.
You should play 6.
Yeah, well, I want to finish 7, but my Vita is on Vita Island somewhere.
Oh, you mean my house?
Yes, your house.
You mean my coffee table?
So
that thing has a lot of dust on it.
There was a lot of dust on it here. And I also loaded up the Resident Evil 7 demo.
Oh.
But I still had the midnight version, not the Twilight version, and I couldn't get it to update.
Yeah, no, you literally just have to open it up once, close out of it, and then start it again.
And it'll load up the update?
Yep.
Okay, because like I kept like hitting start and then say check for update, check for update. And
That's
I tried
how
that
would
1,000 times.
normally do it. I wouldn't think to do that.
And so I just ended up playing through the Resident Evil 7 demo, nothing new. I mean, I'm super pumped for that game.
Yeah. So when I played the Resident Evil 7 demo, the updated Midnight demo, I had a guide in front of me because if the whole game is like this, I'm going to have trouble playing it, but I think I'm going to have trouble playing this game in general. That game, the demo is Byzantine as fuck.
Okay.
In terms of the sequence of events that you have to do to get things to happen. It's like you have to do things exactly at this time, right after you do this thing, otherwise it's not going to happen. Like you have to open, as soon as you wake up in the living room, you have to open the hatch and get into that basement area immediately, because if you do it anytime after that, the fuse isn't going to be in there.
Oh, I think that's where I fucked up, because the first thing I did was get the tape and put it in, and then I couldn't find the fuse.
Yeah, no, like I had to have
do.
a guide in front of me in order to do all this, because a lot of it was Byzantine, but they added some really cool shit to that demo. There's an enemy, and like more so than just Jack, who's kind of like a triggered event. He'll get you at some point in that. But there's one of the, I don't know if you guys have watched any of the preview stuff, but they're called the Molded.
Okay.
And they're just like these hunter looking monsters that just goop out of the wall at you. And so once you do the sequence of events to get the attic key to get into the basement, there is a gun somewhere. Actually, so here's where it gets weird. In that hallway, in the bathroom, there's a bathtub. And first of all, its imagery is fantastic. It's a bathtub full of blood. And there's a bicycle in the bathtub, just like sticking out upside down. You have to get the valve to put on the pipe to drain the tub to get the gun, but the gun is in the basement. So you do everything you need to do to get the basement key. You go down to the basement, and if you look all around, you'll find ammo. Like I think the most you can find in the demo is about 9 bullets, but it's scattered around the house. So you probably have your ammo at that point. And once you get down to the basement, the second you interact with the valve or go into the other room to get the window key, that will, when you go back to the door you came into, that will trigger Jack appearing in front of the door, which is fucking terrifying, by the way. Laughing at you, locking you in. Then one of the molded enemies come out. So you're locked in there with this molded guy without a gun. And here's where I died. So I died there and I was like, fuck this. But eventually I realized what you had to do. And you have to, there's a hanging body bag in the middle of the room. You have to kick the body bag enough to stun him and then kick the door twice to get to open. And then you can run up back to the bathtub, get the gun, and kill the molded. And then go up to the attic and finish the demo. Because you can finish the demo now by going up to the attic and escaping, and you actually escape the house.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you don't get slammed by Jack, as you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had some really cool stuff that fucking horrifying. I would say second to PT, one of the scariest things I've ever played.
If it definitely feels like that. That demo is just great.
Yeah, no, that's like, they definitely learned from PT, but I like that they kept adding to it and updating it and eventually turning it into its own like little metagame.
I like how they kept adding to it to the point where like anytime they had new information about Resident Evil 7, they were like, oh, and we're updating the demo. So now some of the mechanics we talked about are now going to be in the demo, so you can kind of get used to it.
The gunplay is really cool. So like you would expect like, oh, I'm shooting in first person. It's going to take away all sense of like, you know, like terror and tension from Resident Evil, which is like very much like you're unsure in your aim. But the way they take that into account is that you don't get like the ADS. You get like you're pointing the gun, but there's no reticule or anything. So you just have to like try to line it up and hope you're getting the right shot.
I can't wait to see the guide of where to get that red laser sight like immediately.
and so they don't do the thing where the zombies or the molded fall back. They'll just keep coming at you. They're bullet sponges. You just have to kill them, shoot them enough times,
and you only have
so that
9 bullets.
Well, obviously you have more in the game, but in this version,
in the demo,
like they don't like recoil or bounce back. Like they just keep going at you, and that's how they kind of take your added mobility into account. Interesting stuff, though. I'm like I said, I don't think I'm gonna be able to play that game. I'm gonna buy it just to support it, but I'm really excited for it.
I can't wait for that fucking game.
I'm so excited.
That and Outlast 2 next year, man.
Ooh,
yeah,
it's good. I love horror games.
It's gonna be a good year for horror.
When I played the Outlast 2 demo, I'm playing it, and like, of course, I'm getting all scared. I'm like, why do I enjoy this?
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't understand, like, why.
I want to enjoy
what
it.
I get
I
out
don't
of
enjoy it, but
that-
I want to enjoy it.
That's like they should have just put that on the back of the Alien isolation box.
Like, why do you
Like,
enjoy
why?
this?
What the fuck is wrong with you? This
Best-
game is too fucking long.
Best case scenario for RE7, it takes me a year to beat it. Like it took me a year to beat Alien.
That's fair. Was that what you played, by the way, Charlie? Or?
And I just loaded up some of the classic PS4 games.
Classic PS4 games like Knack.
I didn't actually play Knack. I got a Slim, and I was just re-downloading those games, and I opened some of them up. Like I played Uncharted 4 for like 15 minutes, and then once I got to the first flashback, I was like, I don't want to do this. I started a new save on The Last of Us.
Okay.
Grounded mode.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that. I might be streaming it. I love that game.
Sometime, yeah.
I love that game.
It's all right.
It's perfect.
It's okay.
It's perfect.
Hopefully we never get a
perfect.
sequel.
It's perfect.
That Uncharted 4 opening is very slow.
Yeah.
Very slow.
It's kind of a shame.
It makes it like a drag to kind of try to replay it.
I think that game was designed with the mindset of like, yeah, they're gonna play it once.
You know, it feels like it.
There's really no good way to want to play that again unless you're like a diehard.
Unless you want the trophies.
I'm trying to go through it again right now, very slowly.
Like, because I know it's just such a great game and it's designed great and blah blah blah. Naughty
Usually you
Dog.
just start at like chapter 10. Like,
Yeah,
just can I start
exactly.
there? And probably could if you did chapter
Like if I could start in the middle of one of the 500
You can.
half-hour long battles.
You can once you beat it, you can go back and do chapter select.
It's true. I don't think I have any. I don't have PS Plus, so like none of my saves.
Oh, just get PS Plus.
I don't want to get PS Plus. I have Xbox Live. Gold. I'd rather have my gold. I'd rather be able to go online and play Gears.
I don't have either. PC for life.
All right, fuck you, Joe. Tomas.
I fucking love Final Fantasy 15, but I fucking hate Final Fantasy 15. Fuck that game.
Why?
But that game has some really good aspects that I really enjoy about it.
Now, quick question.
I was so miserable yesterday sitting there doing these. So I have to preface all this by saying the way I play RPGs is I power level, which means I do all the side quests, all of the hunts, and I just get myself ridiculously high leveled before I even touch another story mission. So last time we talked about the game, I was at 15 hours. I'm at 50 now. 20, I want to say like maybe 35 of those hours were just pure leveling, just grinding and doing side quests and just getting into random encounters.
That's horrible.
I feel like
just finding enemies to fight to get the experience.
You know how they have like webcams? I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. If you go on YouTube, they have like webcams of like busy street corners and like sometimes like pets in a tank.
Yeah.
I feel like you should be one of those, but it's like he's power leveling.
Like I felt so miserable playing this game yesterday where I was doing side quests are terrible. Okay. The side quests are so bad, and I felt so miserable doing it. I'm like, oh god, I have to go find another fucking onion in this fucking field, and then fight these fucking wolves,
cat,
and then go because there's no convenient way to just turn in your quests once you do them. You have to go all the way back to the quest giver, and then give them back. And you can't have multiple hunts going on at once. You have to take them one at a time, and once you're done with the hunt, you have to go all the way back to the hunt giver, and then turn in your quest.
I'm willing to bet like title update 1 is probably gonna like change some of those things.
God, I hope so.
But then you're gonna be so salty because you fucking went there and back
and
there.
It's not a fast leveling process. So 50 hours, I'm only like level 55.
Okay, that sounds like a lot.
And my goal, I mean, I guess it is a lot by this game's standards. I'm well above what I would need to be to finish the story effectively. Like I can cakewalk the story now.
Okay,
but because
does that ever take away for you? Like, because you're just now so over leveled, you're gonna fucking kill these dudes.
That's how I like playing RPGs.
Interesting.
Same with the Dark Souls games. I like the challenge at first, but then I like getting to that point where I'm just cakewalking everything because I'm grinding.
Mm-hmm.
But the main driving factor behind all this grinding has been the platinum trophy. which I'm actually somewhat close to now. A lot of the main trophies I've left are story related. So once I bull rush through the story, I'll just get all those. But really, there's one trophy in particular that I'm leveling and grinding up for, and that is the Adamantoise boss fight. And
that's a big turtle, right?
Yeah, and there's a trophy attached to him. He's level 99. So I would like to, before I even finish story, I would like to be level 99, and just as soon as I finish story, be ready to go to that fight and then get the platinum. I'm playing this game like very efficiently, and I feel like I'm almost ruining it for myself, but at the same time, while it makes me mad, there's so many aspects I like about it. The world is beautiful. All the characters are interesting, and I like hanging. Just driving around the car with them, doing these dumb, pointless fetch quests with them because they're interesting. They have interesting commentary, and it feels like you're just hanging out with your bros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I really liked that they all had their own unique kind of skill, and they just kind of leveled up whenever. Like, I really thought Prompto's... I really liked that photo thing.
Yeah, no, it's neat. There's actually...
And then they all kind of, like, when you scroll through the pictures, they all kind of be like, oh...
Yeah, they have commentary.
Yeah.
And there's so much, like... The thing I like about this game is there is attention to little details. Like, if you do something, like something dumb, like you accidentally bump into something, the characters will just comment on that. Like, it feels like they have dialogue for almost everything you do. And it really keeps the game varied and it keeps it interesting. And this big, even if it's a little empty, this big, gorgeous fucking world keeps it interesting because even when I'm just running around or exploring, I feel like I'm always finding something cool. I'm always finding something new to do. The story has only gotten more just perplexing. Like, I understand what's happening, but at the same time, like...
Is it completely off the rails, like nuts?
It tries to set up moments that it hasn't earned.
Okay.
So there's one scene, apparently there's a guy named Jared in this game.
Just Jared.
Apparently, like, literally, if this character's in the game, I've met him once, and I think I know who it is now that they're talking about him more. But so there's this guy named Jared, and a lot of people die in this game. But when Jared dies, this character you've had one interaction with the whole game, everyone fucking loses it. They treat it like they treated Eris's death in Final Fantasy VII, but the difference there was that was deserved. That was a character that was in your party for, at that point, like 15, 20 hours. Who you formed an attachment with. This is this old fucking man who tells you where a sword is behind a waterfall, and the second he dies, everyone just fucking loses it.
They just drop what they're doing.
Like, you just lost, like, the most important member of your party, and whenever you do something, they're like, yeah, for Jared. And I'm just like, who the fuck is Jared? And I'm not the only person with this issue. This game tries very hard to just have these moments that it didn't earn. And I feel like, again, I spoke about it last week, the reasoning behind that is probably that this game got chopped to fucking pieces. That there was a more cohesive story there, that these characters had bigger roles, but due to budget or time or whatever, it just got cut down until it is what it is now, which is a bad to okay story, confusing story surrounding okay to great gameplay mechanics. And the gameplay mechanics are what's keeping me engaged. Like, I can complain about the power leveling, and that's my own fault because I'm playing it that way, but I won't lie if I said, I am enjoying putting on a podcast and going and doing these hunts and doing things to get XP multipliers.
That's exactly No Man's Sky for me.
And then when I camp out, watching my level go from like 43 to fucking 50 because I'd spent like 4 hours grinding and all that experience just accumulated. Like I said, overall, I don't even think I could recommend this game to anyone. Everyone.
It would be hard.
It'd be very hard to do. I think I could recommend this game to people who like grindy RPGs. If you liked grinding in older JRPGs, particularly like Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy V, or even like power leveling in Skyrim, like while doing something else or listening to a podcast, I think you'll enjoy this game for that reason. I know that's why I'm enjoying it. I don't think it holds a candle to some of the best Final Fantasy games. Like, this is no 6 or 7. It will never be, but I think for what it is, as its own unique thing, it's a solid game and I'm enjoying it.
Do people often compare a game like Final Fantasy VI and like a more modern Final Fantasy game?
Yeah.
Is that like even a fair thing to do though?
No, yeah, absolutely. Because while the visual, I mean, I think 15 is the biggest departure in a long time, so maybe it's not fair to compare those two.
I think it's the hardest for 15. I think like when 13 came out, I think you could easily have those comparisons because it was still the Japanese, like a JRPG type fighting system.
Yeah, like those gameplay mechanics were still there. Like that kind of base turn-based thing was still there. I think like maybe 12 and 15s would be the ones that'd be hard to make any comparisons with, or like any of the MMOs.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
Yeah. And that's actually it for me this week.
Alrighty.
Just those two.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It's too
50
much Final
hours,
Fantasy.
damn.
And you know what? But here's the thing. I can't stop thinking about it. Like
That's
when I'm
good,
going
though,
to bed,
you know?
I'm looking up like, okay, what's the most efficient way to grind out this level, to grind out more action points? What's the best way to beat this boss? Because I keep thinking about it. And when I go home tonight, I'm probably going to do more of that.
All right, well, let's take a little break. We'll be right back with some news and talk about other games that took 10 plus years to actually come out. Hey guys, it's your host Joe. Thanks for checking out the show this week. If you haven't already, head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. We love to hear from you. Send an email to podcastdemastered@gmail.com with any comments or questions. We may even discuss your email live on the show. To stay up to date, follow us on Twitter @DMastercast. For our live streams, you can go to twitch.tv/podcastdemastered. And lastly, our video content can be found at youtube.com/podcastdemasteredshow. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, guys, and we are back. Let's jump right into the news. Going from Tom's Final Fantasy 15 story to what could possibly be Square Enix going all in for the 30th anniversary for that little series called Final Fantasy.
This leak made me very happy if it's real.
Yeah, so just be careful.
Yeah,
this is all
take it with a grain of salt.
Very small grain of salt. I'm just going to read off all the stuff and then we can break each one down. So let me just get through the list because there's a lot. Apparently, a lot is happening next year. So according to this rumor, the first episode of the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age will both be released, which I already knew about Zodiac Age. That's supposed to be released early.
I had a hunch that we might see or part of 7 Remake next year.
The Final Fantasy 13 trilogy is apparently coming to PS4, 1080p at 60 frames. The Final Fantasy collection, including 1 through 9 on PS4, 7 and 9 based on the new ports, and 2 and 3 will get English translations, will be the first time in the series history.
So we were streaming earlier and you were playing Final Fantasy 3? 6? So
but
then
in the US, so what had happened was Final Fantasy came out in the NES in the US in 1990. 2 and 3 never made it over just because NOA felt they were too complicated, that they wasn't accessible enough to younger gamers. 6, 2 did come over. It was 3 that didn't come over. So 2 did come over. And then, no, I'm sorry. I realized what I did. Okay. So 1 came out in the States. 2 and 3 never came over. 4 came over to the States. And then when 4 came out in the States, it was Final Fantasy 2.
okay.
5 didn't come over. 6 came over, and 6 came out in the States. It was Final Fantasy 3. And then when 7 came out, they just dropped all pretenses of that shit and just you
Final
hop from
Fantasy 7.
3 to 7, basically.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, very,
So are these
very
the
uncomplicated.
So is this like the first official time the US will
No,
have? 2
no.
and 3?
Those games have. I know. Actually, 2 and 3.
Or yeah,
I know 2 and 3. Yeah, that would be the first official time.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
But I know like 5 has been released on other things.
And then 15 and 7 remake will come to PC. 15 apparently at the sometime later next year. 7 apparently in 2018.
I'm not shocked by that.
Yeah, neither am I. I'm not shocked on that thing. The one thing I just... So that's all of it. That's all in the one rumor. It goes into a little more detail, but some of it was just too nitty gritty. It just seems like that's a bit much. That's the reason I take it with like a grain of salt.
I do agree.
It feels like a lot. I mean, in this, you're getting almost 13 complete games between 1 through 9, and then you have the entire 13 trilogy. That's 3 games right there. Then you have the 12 remake, which is Zodiac Age, and that's another full. Oh damn, that is another full remake.
God,
and like it's just too hard to believe that you'd release that many games at once, especially if you have one collection that includes 1 through 9.
I agree. I think it is a lot. And knowing Square Enix's track record, I don't think half that stuff would actually make it out next year. But I do have faith in. I still hold on to some shred of faith of Part 1 of 7 Remake releasing next year. just because it would coincide with that game's 20th anniversary.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
My favorite part of that news is honestly the 1 through 9 collection. I still think 1 through 9, a lot of the within that, it holds like the pinnacle of that series, which is like 6, 7, and then even 4 and 5. And I really would like to play 9. There's a lot of games in that I would replay, and I think giving kind of newer gamers, younger gamers, the chance to play those would be, like a lucrative idea, because that's how you get more people into Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
13, whatever. It was a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if people... I don't think enough time has passed that people want to relive the Lightning trilogy.
Yeah, I just... That's why, I just don't see them going this all out. I think they will celebrate it by releasing certain games and whatnot, but I'd be surprised if it's like all this.
How many discs is this thing going to be?
That would be 1 through 9 would be 1 Blu-ray.
Yeah, you throw that all into one thing.
Yeah.
But isn't one of them like 3 discs in its own?
Yeah,
like
but that
game?
was 3 discs on
a 360.
Yeah. Well, no, because that was 13 you're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
But like, I know 7 was like 7 and 8 were like, and 9 were like 3, 4 discs, but that was on PS1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other ones you could probably fit into like maybe a gig.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like the craziest like Final Fantasy fan, so but it also just seems excessive to go that far out.
I don't know, that news makes me pumped. I think Square Enix knows, like, it's funny, we didn't put in the news, but they talked about the patch releasing that's gonna fix a lot of the story.
I meant to ask you about that while we were talking about Final Fantasy 15.
It's set to fix a lot of the story issues that Final Fantasy has, which is basically adding more cutscenes, adding more dialogue, stuff, fixing Chapter 13, which I haven't hit yet, but I've heard it's bad. Stuff that normally, if it were any other developer, I would give flack for, but the more I think about it, and I think Jim Sterling brought up a really great point when he said this on his Inquisition, is that for a game that doesn't have a multiplayer function yet, the fact that a publisher gives this much of a shit about the story and the way people are reacting to it, that they're going back and adding stuff to it, says something. So I think even if sales aren't there, even if Final Fantasy isn't what it used to be, I think Square Enix still gives a shit about the artistic integrity of Final Fantasy and still really cares about that franchise. So that's why I can believe part of this, especially the 1 through 9 collection, because I think they know those games are special, and I think they want to give people a way, like a convenient way to relive all those games.
I don't want to go too far into it, but my only problem with that patch is that when they announced the delay, it was to not have a patch because of people who didn't have internet connections. And now in order to get the more complete story, you're going to have the internet connection.
I think that wasn't... I think obviously they chose poor wording. We all know that wasn't the real reason that patch got...
No, I know that, but it's what they said.
Or the delay was there. We all know the real reason the delay was there, or if conjectures to be believed, is because that game barely fucking ran.
Yeah. But I mean, still, to come out and say that, and then when you're talking about adding in story and making one of the parts of the game that a lot of people aren't crazy about better, then to suddenly not give a shit about that, it just... To me, that's the part that bothers me. It's just
I think it's cool though, like especially for a single player only game, that they're going back and kind of fixing that stuff instead. Because most games, if they put the thing out, the thing sells, and they never touched it again. At least in terms of like single player campaigns, games that are primarily single player focused.
I mean, you love this thing, and you're willing to look beyond that. But I think objectively, it is a little weird to do that. Like that, so specific. And then, I kind of lean towards that.
It's just like the thing you say one thing about one patch or not wanting to have a patch, and then you end up having a patch anyway, and it's just like, then why? Just say why the fucking game is getting delayed
surrounding
in the first place.
I agree that everything surrounding the delay was fucking embarrassing and should have been handled better.
Yeah.
Maybe not having a giant event to announce a release date you weren't sure you could hit.
Also, when the fucking event teases November 30th and then goes to September 30th.
And then it comes out on November 30th.
Or 29th.
Whatever, same difference.
Let's move on. We have some Nintendo news. Let's start with the Switch stuff.
I like that thing.
Very excited for that
rumor
thing.
broke out from Eurogamer.
We're so close to getting official info.
Yes, I know. January 12th.
Yeah.
Eurogamer came out and they basically said they had sources that GameCube Virtual Consoles coming to the Nintendo Switch. And the rumor is that Luigi's Mansion, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Super Mario Sunshine are going to be the three games that they have running now. Will probably be the first launched, and they're also playing around with Animal Crossing.
I
trying to get that out.
Super Mario Sunshine. I love that game.
The fact that they're toying around with Animal Crossing makes me happy. They would have to change a lot about that game, particularly the NES games that exist within Animal Crossing, because then they're just eating into their own virtual console market. But I still think that first Animal Crossing game is like the purest of them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Before, like, not that the new mechanics are bad, but like before it was bogged down by other things. So I would totally go back and play that and Mario Sunshine again. I love those games.
For sure. Yeah.
This might be our last like real big Switch rumor, because Laura K. Dale and Emily Rogers both came out on Twitter and just like, look, this is exhausting. They're both blacklisted from Nintendo now.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know. They really don't give a shit. They're just like, whatever. Like, but they're both basically like waiting now just for the actual release date to basically line up
something to be fucking surprised about. Jesus.
No, it's 2016. Leak everything before we know.
So, and like even Laura K. Dale said on Twitter, like she kind of knew about this, but she didn't want to leak anything else. And when Eurogamer went on, she was like, well, fuck it. If you guys know, then here's everything I've heard. Kind of, that's why when it comes from like 4 different places and they all have different sources, it kind of just immediately
Here's the
lines
thing
up.
though, like I'm excited for GameCube Virtual Console games. I'm not confident in the rate that they can get them out when they announced N64 Virtual Console games for the Wii U and maybe put out like 3 or 4 of them in total.
Yeah. I mean, if you're working on having 4 for relatively close to launch, I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
Maybe go on like a 2, even like 1 or 2 a month.
And even like virtual console stuff, like it's one of those things, and I feel like it's same with like backwards compatibility for me, where I like the option of having it there, because I never really took advantage of it on the Wii when I had it. I never really took advantage on the Wii U when I had that. So like it's cool that they'll be there, and I just don't know how often I'll actually take advantage of it. Like,
I mean, if Super Mario Sunshine is out in there, and then inevitably Sonic Adventure 2 Battle comes out on
that's on Xbox 360 already.
Yeah, but now I need it on my Switch.
I don't know. I think the difference between backwards compatibility and then virtual console is that like Nintendo's library is just unfucking matched.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
like those are games
it's
you want to
unmatched,
have.
but it's also not broad. It's like they've got like a couple of the hits, but the things you really wish were there are not there.
You mean virtual console in general?
Yeah. Like I find some of the titles that I was looking for, like some of the Game Boy Advance stuff.
There was a lot of Super Nintendo games I was looking for on Wii U that just weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Other Nintendo news, they announced today that by the year 2020, they plan on having a new... Wait, what is the fuck is it called? Super Nintendo World.
What?
It's a theme park coming to
in
Japan, in
Yeah,
Universal Studios in Japan. They were teasing it with some like concept art and whatnot, nothing official. I think they said they will have a ride based on the Rainbow Road.
No,
that would be dope. Yeah.
So this is confirmed.
Finally, a reason to go to Japan.
This is confirmed for 2020 in Japan, and at later points they plan on bringing it over to California and Orlando.
Oh, nice. So I don't even have to go to Japan anymore.
This could be huge for them. This could be like I know they the Harry Potter world that they did was gigantic for them. This could be another that basically.
Yeah, I'm actually going down to Florida in the end of March, beginning of April, like that first weekend. And like the person I'm going with kind of wants to go to the Harry Potter world.
You should. Yeah. I mean,
and like
you should do that.
Well, just based on money and what we're already doing down there. So it's like it's one of those things where how many days am I taking off work to go down there and whatnot. But it's something I really want to do is go to the Harry Potter world.
Like the Harry Potter world is insane.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's something I'd love to go
You'll
to.
probably have been there 10 times by the time I go there, so it's all right. I think you both know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So no, that's really cool. I don't know, like, I mean, you have like a cool Star Fox Space Mountain type ride.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think you're going to see Star Fox rides. I think you're going to see rides based on IPs that are still relevant to Nintendo. I don't think Star Fox is going to be touched for a long time.
I could see them getting a little nitty gritty with it to make like.
I mean, I would hope they would.
Like they won't have a Metroid ride in the Japan one,
shame.
But in the American ones, they're going to have a Metroid ride because
maybe.
I mean, Metroid's more popular here than it is
I think you'll
over
probably have like Zelda. I think I can tell you for sure you're going to have like. I've heard conjecture that Donkey Kong is something being considered, but I think you're definitely going to see Zelda, Mario, and Donkey Kong.
The Donkey Kong ride is the cart is like that you would go on the track is in a barrel. You are stuffed in a barrel. There's no seat.
And if you don't jump,
and they just throw the barrel.
And if they put you in a mine cart, and if you don't jump at the right time, you just fucking die. God. And at the bottom of this shaft are just the corpses of all the children who didn't.
And then there's
who didn't time to jump correctly.
What's the name of the chomp thing?
Chain Chomp?
Chain Chomp? No, in Donkey Kong. In Donkey Kong Country. What's the name of that thing? There's just like 40 of those like eating people alive.
Jesus.
The Kremlings. No, I think
some
it's cool.
fucked up shit.
Like, we really haven't seen like video game based attractions at theme parks, like except for like a few like outliers here and there. I know Japan and Dubai have done some things with different properties, but like this is fucking cool. I can't wait to see what they do, because they can probably do some really cool creative like shit. Like we were talking about the Rainbow Road ride, like the Mario Kart roller coaster makes sense. That makes so much sense.
You think about all the merchandise they're going to be able to sell.
I know, it's going to be
like,
fucking disgusting.
And fucking just like that is going to draw in so many more people. Like all they have to say is Rainbow Road Ride. They don't have to show anybody what it's going to be. And
also,
like
you have like,
or the ride could be like you going through each different each recreation of it or something. Like they could do.
That'd be really cool.
Like if it is successful, I could see it keeping Nintendo like more relevant than a lot of people think, because you have parents bringing their kids, and then now their kids fucking go ape shit for Mario and shit like that.
I could even see them doing something along the lines of like a release of select Mario Kart Virtual Console titles, and then a lot of rides at Universal, after you do the ride, they have their store where they sell their merchandise, and I could see them having like Wii U kiosks, or at that point in time Switch kiosks.
So last time I was in Universal was 2002. I was 9 years old, and the thing I remember the most there was, I loved video games. I had a PlayStation. I loved my PlayStation. At the time, Universal was publishing the Crash Bandicoot games, so I saw Crash Bandicoot there, and I saw not Spyro, but like an amalgamate, what Spyro, like that Spyro costume would look like. And I remember just being so hyped to see that. So the idea of like a kid seeing like fucking Mario, and this kid loves Mario, that's cool.
Yeah. I would go there. I would do that.
Last Switch thing. You guys watched Jimmy Fallon?
Yes,
I didn't. I saw clips all over the place.
Begrudgingly, I watched the clip.
Oh yeah, you don't like Jimmy Fallon, right?
No, he annoys hell out of me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people were going on about his overexcitement for it, like, oh, it's so fake. And then what's so awesome is like 2 days later, he's at a Knicks game, and they catch him on camera, and he's like, and he's doing the motion of what the Switch is, and he's like legitimately excited about it. And I was like, I like Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. I don't watch him every night.
Some
but
of the things that he
like
does
Conan, like to me, Conan's still the king.
Clueless. You don't love that?
What?
Clueless Gamer, where he makes fun of this guy who's like clearly doesn't deserve it.
Who? Oh.
Conan.
Oh yeah, I imagine that I am that guy, and you're the Conan in the situation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. To be fair,
Conan has done way more with his life than I will probably ever do. So
no, I love Conan.
Who am I to shit on him?
No, I'm not judging him at all. I fucking love Conan. I love the Clues Gamer stuff. Yeah. So just because of time, I want to skip the last news story and go right into our topic of the week, which is games in development hell, because we just got 2 of them coming out within a week of each other. We got Final Fantasy 15. We got Last Guardian.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, it is.
Those came out so close
within
to each
a week.
other.
Like originally, it was supposed to be a month, and then they both get delayed to within a week. So it's pretty awesome that they're both out, and obviously Final Fantasy 15 getting basically across the board very good reviews, and Last Guardian mixed. Obviously, you have people who love it, people who hate it. Obviously, I talked about it earlier. So I wanted to go in and look up other games that were either in development hell for a long period of time and eventually came out, or ones that are still in that circle that we either haven't heard of from in a while. Obviously, I think a big one, massive one is, and we've talked about it, made tons of jokes when you talk about it that much, is Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
That's like the one now when you talk about games. Obviously, no confirmations even in development.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say,
so
like,
it's all like
that's
kind of
just a joke.
Yeah, it's only because
it is a joke.
It's only because part 2 ends on a cliffhanger.
I think we're at a point now where that is a bigger joke than Duke Nukem Forever was.
Yeah, and that's on this
pretty
list.
much.
Yeah, because Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
So I got this. So the Duke Nukem Forever was, oh my god, I just had it here too.
I still firmly believe that if we do ever see a Half-Life 3, it is going to be fan made with Valve's approval.
we've talked about
which makes sense. I mean they support Black Mesa easily, and I wouldn't be surprised if
I would like to see those guys see a crack at it.
Yeah. Duke Nukem Forever, as Tom brought up, was one from 1997 to 2011 and went through 2 different engines, bankrupt 3D Realms game studio. They had a conflict with Take-Two, which Gearbox ended up getting it, and then that's when they released it. They got it in 2010 and actually released it the following year. So I know like a lot of people like, don't get this wrong. I don't like Randy Pitchford.
Oh, I
don't like most of the stuff he says. I did read his comment though about the Bulletstorm thing, and the reason he said it's not possible is because of publishers and whatnot, because they weren't the correct publisher on the original Bulletstorm.
That was EA, right? I think that was Electronic Arts.
Yeah, I think so. And so they can't really mess with another publisher's old property, and that's why. So it's not as shitty, but still.
Yeah.
I just in general don't like. Generally,
he seems
don't
like a
him.
shady
Yeah,
guy.
after the, I know it's still like salt in the wounds that are so old now, but Aliens Colonial Marines, man.
Well, we'll talk about that next in a second too. Then
There's still salt in the wound from that.
But yeah, so to get that game out, fine. I think it was just the point of actually getting this game out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. 97 to 2011, and to go to Aliens Colonial Marines, this game was announced in 2001.
Really? I didn't know that it was
And that was
of this
another
pedigree.
instance of EA was publishing that.
Yeah,
when
it's
they
been
got first announced.
obviously 12 years. It was in development by Check Six Games, which was canceled, and then the rights for the Alien franchise went to Sega, and then Gearbox got it in 2006, and then they started working on it, and the game spent another 7 years there before it even came out.
I think the worst part about that was in 2008, getting a Game Informer in the mail that had that as the cover story, and
I
it's
remember
sounding incredible. And then all the media that came out after that in the years up until its release, especially even up until like a month before its release, all seemed incredible. That one gameplay demo still looks like a game I really want to play because Aliens is my favorite movie of all time. I want a game set in that world where I'm not hiding from the aliens, I'm fighting them, and it has that iconic sound, that iconic weaponry. And that's all stuff they did actually pretty well in the base game, where the sounds were there, the weapons were there. It was just everything else, and it was the mess surrounding who was actually making this game that really stung. And it was the fact that Randy Pitchford would never admit to any of the shenanigans that had happened with it. And there was a lot of conjecture. I'm not saying this is true, but there was a lot of conjecture that funds were taken from that project that were given them by Sega to finish up Borderlands 2.
And that they outsourced most of Alien Colonial Marines to another studio.
So. When you start up that game, right next to Gearbox, another big developer name pops up, like Time something.
Yeah. Another game, this is also from Valve, Team Fortress 2, was announced in 1999.
I didn't know that.
It took 8 years to be released.
That's crazy. I had no clue. I did a little
It
research
started
on
as something completely different if you look at those
a complete change
screens.
in gameplay and art direction. And it finally released in 2007 with around the Orange Box collection. And then Prey 2 was another one. Prey itself was one. It was announced in like the late 90s. 3D Realms, once again, it was one of the reasons 3D Realms went bankrupt.
I think John Romero was behind that too.
Yeah, I think he was. And the reason they had so many problems with it was because they were it was before technology caught up to the Portal system. And
but
Prey,
it was the Portal stuff, right?
Yeah, Prey has a huge Portal element to it where you're going through portals, going to other rooms, and it obviously the game Portal mastered that.
Yeah.
But this was before that, and they were trying to figure out how the fuck to even map out this thing, and that's what ends up taking them so long. And it finally gets released in 2006. But of course, by then, the studio's in trouble, the game's in trouble, and then Prey 2 is the rights are acquired by Bethesda. Then we get the Prey 2 announcement in 2011, and then that disappears, and then that is canceled.
Well, there was reasoning behind that where Bethesda wanted to fully buy out 3D Realms, and they weren't having it, so Bethesda basically almost did what Ubisoft did to Patrice Désolé with his game he was working on, where they just bought it and like strangled it out.
Yeah, and that's how we have the new Prey, where it's just kind of a reboot. Where
it's not even a reboot. It's kind of
like
they owned the name, and the idea was, well, if we put this name on it, some people
That's exactly what happened. I think Prey has nothing to do with it. And the guy behind that studio, Arcane, has even come out and said as much, where they had this idea for the space game, they were making it, and they just they basically threw the name on there because they had the name and they needed something to do with it.
I have no disclaimer. I have no connection to Prey 1 and 2, but I don't think it's that big of a deal either.
To me, as someone who really loved the first Prey game and was so excited to see what that cliffhanger of an ending was leading to, and then being blown away by all the demos shown for Prey 2.
Yeah.
honestly,
and like Tommy was going to be in that game. Like they talked about Tommy
and the fact
being
that you
in
were
there.
going to know what happened in that cliffhanger, and the fact that it said that game, the first game basically ends with them saying there's so much more out there, and that's what that second game is going to capitalize on. As someone who's invested in that, it feels like a slap to the face.
I totally understand that as well.
Like I said, I do think this new game looks cool. This
It
looks
does.
like a really
some of
fucking
the stuff
cool
coming
game.
out it sounds really, really
I just want to
cool.
like just say
Yeah.
I mirror everything Tom just said.
Yeah.
But
Big
at the
fan,
same time,
felt a little burned. But
yeah, I feel burned about it. It feels like a slap to the face, and I know sometimes games don't come together, but everything I've heard about what Bethesda basically did to Prey 2, which was done, that game was done, and Bethesda snuffed it out over something petty, isn't the studio not allowing them to be bought out. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It really is.
Another one that we haven't seen since 2009, except in a 2011 leak. I want to say it was 2011. Was Agent.
Oh fuck, I
The
forgot about that.
Rockstar
PS3 exclusive.
We're all looking over there.
I was looking.
Oh,
at
you
the-
both just
I was
both
like,
your
oh,
eyes just went behind me. I'm like, what's going on?
I saw a ghost.
Yeah, so Agent, the Rockstar made PS3 exclusive that was announced as a black screen Agent logo. That's it, and then just vanished.
Huh.
Never to be heard of again.
I think some like screenshots, some video.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. In 2011, something leaked of like screenshots.
Was
of
it
that
like
game.
set in the 1960s in Cuba or
I think
something?
yeah, something weird like that. Like it was. It's weird that this game just disappeared.
Oh, it's fine because we got Alpha Protocol, so we got our spy game, so it worked out.
I don't think we all wanted Alpha Protocol. I think we all wanted Agent. Yeah, no, it's kind of weird, especially from such a huge studio like Rockstar. Like you expect them to.
I don't think we'll hear the story until years from now.
Yeah,
if we ever
exactly.
hear. But I would love to know what happened to that.
And another Rockstar game that had many problems was what's that detective game where you play? The one that actually L.A. Noire. That took about
that was Team Bondi. Rockstar basically published it.
yeah, but they took about 8 years to finally get that game. That was due to technology of what they wanted to do with the faces.
That whole man, that was a game.
What do you guys think of that game?
I never played it. That was
beat
something
it.
I always went when I was at GameStop. I pick up the box and then put it down.
Yeah, I was a little bored by it. I never beat it.
It was so janky.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah. And then the other one that, I mean, granted, just announced a few years ago, but so many years since its actual sequel, or that would be a sequel to, is Kingdom Hearts 3, where we've had it since 2006. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. Granted, we've had a PSP title,
To be
a
fair,
3DS title.
Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't actually announced until 2013.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't announced until a few years ago, but it was one of those
It
games
did take
that
a long time to get off the ground, though.
that everyone wanted a sequel to, and instead we got all these spin-offs and everything. And then technically the sequel to the PS2 game is on 3DS, and except nobody wants to play their Kingdom Hearts game on a 3DS.
I think the reasoning, I mean, we're going to be able to play all of them on PS4 next year.
Yeah,
But I think
obviously.
the reason behind that was
the
more so
director-
than financial backings of Square Enix and Square Enix really pushing to get these games out, was that Nomura really fucking had a story that he wanted to tell and was just randomly picking platforms to tell his story on, like without really any, rhyme or reason. Like, I'm gonna put 1 and 2 on PS2. I'm gonna put this game on 3DS. This game on Game Boy. I'm gonna re-release it on PS2. And I think it's just because that's what he was feeling at the time. That's what he wanted to release the games on.
Also, the game director was working on what was Versus 13, and then became 15, and then so that was taking up
But
obviously the majority.
I
of his
think the
time.
reason they never rushed to 3 was because there was Tetsuya Nomura had a very specific story he wanted to tell, and I think he wanted 3 in a very specific place.
Yeah, I'm interested to play them again, but I mean, at the same time, like, dude, that story went off the fucking.
Oh, it's baffling.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to play all of them next year.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna play 3. I can't promise I'll know anything that's
I
happening.
have a
though.
friend who knows everything about it and will, go into excruciating detail about it. But like at this point, man, I think they shit the bed on that. Like, I mean, I think the game will be fun and everything, but to take that much time between the numbered sequels and then have all these prequels and semi-sequels and fuck it, even an iPhone game came out this year that adds story to the Kingdom Hearts thing, and like that friend played through it and was like, I can't believe like it has this amount of detail in the fucking phone game that should have been in like just a proper 30 game.
I had a friend who tried to at work who tried to explain to me the plot so far of Kingdom Hearts, and by the time she was talking about who Sora's nobody was, think about the sentence, who Sora's nobody was.
Roxas.
That's when I was like, I'm out. I fucking like the Final Fantasy Disney shit, so I'm gonna play them because of that. But fuck, I can't keep up with this.
It's fucking out there.
I still, man, that announcement for Kingdom Hearts 3 was fucking great.
Yeah, no, it was.
That was great. I still remember just the elated joy I felt when that trailer came on.
I'm never ever played Final Fantasy. Kingdom Hearts.
It's all right.
I just, in my mind, they're like the same thing.
It's the Heartless, and soon you're gonna have the Captain America and Darth Vader fighting the Heartless with Sora.
Hopefully not.
I kind of don't like that.
What?
Like the Disney and the
like it.
Animus.
It works.
It does.
It does really work.
It looks wrong to me.
No, and it's neat. Like, especially if you have any nostalgia for any of those movies, like going to fucking the Pride Lands in Kingdom Hearts 2, or going to China and Mulan, or the Coliseum from Hercules. All that stuff works if you have any sort of nostalgia for those movies.
That's pretty much like all like the major ones. Obviously, we still have a few in development.
Then you have ones that just don't come out.
Yeah.
Superman, Faith at a 45. That first-person Avengers game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't look up long in development cancellations.
Elder Scrolls Travels.
Is that the PSP game?
That's a ROM you can download now. That's out in ROM form. Yeah.
Oh, you just might have just made Charlie's next few days go away.
I want to play that.
I'm sure it's probably not good.
It's probably terrible, but I'm still
awful.
really curious because I remember seeing...
Yeah, just out of curiosity, you should
I'm going
try
to
and find it. Yeah, so it's weird. It's weird that we've had two come out within a week of each other, and now we have Agent, which will probably never come out. And it's like, I'm trying to think of like what's the next on-running joke, and I think
Half-Life.
I mean, that's actually announced. Like, I mean, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 will be that until it actually comes out, because I still have a hard time believing that game is anywhere close to actually releasing.
Square Enix, and I am anticipating them being proven wrong, but I think after the fucking shit show that was versus 13 to 15, I think they really have gotten their shit together in terms of, let's keep the fuck quiet about this until we know we have something definitive to say. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's gonna be as much of a joke as we think it's gonna be.
I hope not. I hope to be wrong.
Yeah, so I would like to be right
for once.
Let's wrap up episode 89. We will be back next week with episode 90. Dan should be back next week.
Oh boy!
So we'll have Dan here.
Great.
It's gonna be so much work.
I know, it's gonna be awful. So prepare for 45 minutes of Civ 6 probably. I don't know what shit he's been playing. So
farm management.
Yeah. So like I said in the break, you can follow us on Twitter at DMastercast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. If you like the show, we'd really appreciate it. Just search Podcasting Master, it pops right up. Email podcastingmaster@gmail.com. Send us emails, tweet at us with comments about the show, questions. We will definitely try and get them into the show as long as they are in an appropriate level. I've learned how to eat those words a little bit after last week's email. But yeah, otherwise we'll be back.
Twitch. Oh
yeah, yes. Twitch.tv/podcastingmaster.
I don't know why they had to go with .tv.
Who the fuck knows?
Because it was like Justin TV originally, then turned to Twitch. Whatever.
Okay. So yeah, we've been streaming a lot there. We've been trying to do the Monday streams. We're back on that. We were trying something else for last weekend, just wasn't working, so we didn't do it last week. But yeah, then we tweet. We play like old NES, SNES, Game Boy Advance fucking games. It's awesome. And then you've been streaming No Man's Sky and Donkey Kong Country 2 still, or are you done with
I haven't gone back.
Okay,
I should though.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week, episode 90. Until then,
have a good week.
Enjoy your day.
Have a horrible week.
Call your dad.
Call your dad.
Call your sister.
All right. Goodbye.
Say hello.